A book from 1884 changed how I see perspective. A few years ago, I was in an overwhelmed place and I wanted to find a quiet space. So I went to the library, a place I used to take children when I worked with them. Now, the book I found, again, written in 1884, called Flatland, it spoke to me. Not just because of what the book said, but because I, being an American born, so called Black woman from Mississippi, I know in 1884 that a lot of things could have happened if I got caught with this book. See, I'm from Mississippi, specifically the Golden Triangle, even more specific, Sandfield. In the 1880s, the climate of the South would not have allowed me to read this book. And access to this type of writing, this type of material, wouldn't have been neutral. Literacy itself was power, and I come from a free place. But here's what would get it: perspective. Thinking beyond your assigned place is a superpower. So as I read it, I began to learn something much more profound, much more deeper. This book is about a two-dimensional world. The characters can only see length and width, but then a sphere appears, something from a higher dimension, and the two-dimensional characters can't comprehend the sphere. Matter of fact, they reject it. And in reading this, it made me realize sometimes we're not limited. We just happen to be operating from one dimension. I don't want to complicate this for you, but it took me 3 times to read this book and fully understand it. Depending on the land that you place yourself in, Flatland, Spearland, Spaceland, your perspective changes. And the more dimensions you can allow yourself to consider, the more angles you can see. Now, I'm going to slow down just a little bit, but then I'm going to need you to catch up. For people whose ancestors were restricted from perspective, your expansion isn't just intellectual. Your expansion is ancestral. I need you to get this. Your expansion is ancestral because your expansion is you talking to your cells on multiple dimensions depending on what land you place yourself in. Let's simplify it, right? Flatland is a book that teaches the mind how perspective works when you change dimensions. Einstein even used this book because he wanted to explain general relativity. It was so people took higher dimensions seriously. One, that your space and time are not separate, and that you are in space, in time. Basically, it's not just who you are, where you are, but it's also when you are. This shapes your space time. I know this sounds like mathematics, but it's not. This is about your humility, not humiliation, that you're humble in recognizing there may be more to you than you are trained to see. Now, if you're not understanding what I'm saying, I still want to simplify this even more. If you were born in a world where you could only see left and right, you'd think that up and down were myth. Not because it's not real, but because you don't have the capacity to perceive it. But when you have the ability to understand, overstand, even understand, when your reality expands, so does your dimensions. So what you may call impossible today may not always be impossible. It's just you haven't gained the perspective expansive enough to see it. So I'll say this and I'll let you go. Einstein once said, reality does not conform to common sense. Reality conforms to structure, even when you can't see it. So you may be asking, why am I sharing this? Remember, we talked about metacognition, being the observer of your mind, understanding and noting why your thoughts are the way that they are. But as the observer, if you are limited in your perception, you'll be limited in your mind. But when your mind expands, as the observer, you'll understand that you not only occupy space and time, but you also occupy multiple dimensions. And that is how you quantum shift, and that's how you change your life. And that's why I wanted to share it with you. That's it. That's all. That is the message. Bye, baby.